So obviously this is Microsoft Teams, the application. Let's see, you guys are probably familiar with the chat portion of it, right? Where you can come in and send messages to people. It obviously has calendar integration, so it can show you stuff from your calendar. It's kind of a one-stop shop for all of your collaboration type needs. What you're going to see as we assign licenses to your guys' accounts is you'll get access to this calls button. Now, sometimes the calls button is hidden. It doesn't always show up here on the left. So there's this little ellipsis type icon where there's the three dots. If you were to click that, it has more apps in here. And if you go through here, you'll find calls, and then you can add that to your sidebar. So if you don't immediately see calls, just go look for it there, and then you can add it to the sidebar. These icons on the left can also be rearranged. So for example, if I prefer to have my chat on top, I can just click and drag it and drop chat up here. I can reorder all these different icons to, meet my preferences. When you click on calls, you'll see a dial pad. Now, you won't see it today because it only shows up after we give you the phone license. Below the dial pad, you'll see your direct dial number. So if someone were to dial that number, it comes into to your Teams client, and it will ring you. You have call history over here, and this is a demo account that I use, so you can see there's a bunch of just non-trivial call history. I can see, I can filter the history, so I could say show me missed calls, show me just incoming calls, or even show me voicemails. And if I had a voicemail, it would list it in here as well. You can also, using this little upside down funnel, I can filter this. So if I wanted to click in there, I could type in a phone number, and I could filter that list down to an actual phone number. So if I'm looking for something, I can find it. Another thing I want to point out is in the call history, if you click on an entry, you get details about it. So I can see that this call was made last June. So it's been a while since I played in here. I can see it was an outgoing call at 11:31, a total call time of 6 seconds. And if I wanted to, I could call this person back by just clicking the little phone icon. Conference calls, that's what these are here. You can see there's a multi person icon. If I click that, I can see that there's two parties involved in this call. This one happened to be, there we go, happened to be made again last year for 36 seconds. Now, the thing I want to caution you on here is if I were to click this phone icon, it would call these people back, but it would dial both of these numbers. So when you're going through your call history, make sure that if you do use the phone icon, just be aware of what you're what's actually going to happen there. So speed dials, you can configure speed dials for whatever you need to. So if I were to click the little person here, I can type in a name of someone else in the organization who might have Teams phone. For now, it's just you guys, but pretty soon the plan is to obviously include Lewis in as well. So I could type in someone's name, I could add them to the list, or I could type in any number. So if I knew that I wanted to add, Starbucks in here or something, I type in a phone number, click on add, and then I could enter in Starbucks coffee, and I could say save, and then it should put that in my speed dial list here. I can call that, or I can click the little radio button here. I can delete the contact as well. So you can customize those and add all the important things in there that you need to. If I go up here to view contacts, it will show me all the contacts within the Teams organization. So again, this would include all of Coeur d'Alene for now. Eventually, it would include the entire college organization. I can go through here and I can favorite people. Once I favorite them, that puts them into my, back to calls. That puts them into my speed dial list just by favoriting them, I believe. Let's make sure I'm not steering you wrong there. Maybe that's wrong because I think they have to actually be, let's see. There you go. If you find a contact, you can click the little ellipsis button and you can say add to speed dial, and then that will put it onto your speed dial list. There we go. Any questions on that stuff so far? Just basic navigation, everything? Okay, fantastic. Now we're going to get into the fun stuff. So when you're working from the office on campus, the Teams client should automatically detect your location. So it should not have a little red arrow, a little red exclamation mark here. Instead, it would list the address of the building that you're working from. And it does that because we take all the time on the back end to configure and provision all that stuff. However, if you go off campus, say you're working from home or from someplace else, it will pop up with this red warning and basically want you to confirm your address. So yeah, there's a little footnote there. Teams does its best to keep your location up to date in case of an emergency. So this is not my actual address. It's pretty close to my home address here in Spokane. It's probably off by a couple of houses. It's using GPS and stuff to figure out approximately where I'm at. So if I didn't confirm this, it would, still kind of work. But the whole intent is to, in the event of emergency, if you were to dial 911, to make sure that emergency responders know where you're located at. So I can come in and verify this. I could say, you know what, this is close, but let's clear this out and do 10107 North Weaver and see if it. Nope. Yeah, that's interesting. Doesn't like it. I can also enter the address manually. 10107, and that gets it pretty close. If I say confirm, now it's not showing me the red warning. Now it's actually showing me the actual address that I put in there. And if I were to make a call, this address will get sent to the emergency services. So I can also reset this, and it goes back to the unverified address.
Jared, I have a question about that.
Go ahead.
So for our computers in Coeur d'Alene, we are directly tapped into the Lewiston network.
Yep.
So like, for example, on like my homepage, it'll show like the weather in Lewiston because it thinks
Yep.
I'm there. So
Yep.
would it still show that we're in Lewiston, or would it show that we're in Coeur d'Alene?
It will show Coeur d'Alene. So on the back end in the Teams phone system, we've told it specific network characteristics of the Coeur d'Alene location, and we've told it that this address is tied to this IP address, essentially, right? So it will show the correct Coeur d'Alene address, including the building as well. So yes.
Great, thank you.
Great question. Below that, we've got call forwarding settings. So if you are, going on a 2-week cruise over in Europe and you need to forward your phone somewhere, you can click the little down arrow here. You can say forward it to voicemail or forward it to, so this shows recent numbers. So if I forward it to a colleague, it'll pop up and kind of remember, hey, I might want to do that again in the future. I can also go to more settings here. I could say forward all calls, and I could say forward to a contact, and I could type in the name of another person and pick that person, and then it, simple as that, right? Now my calls are forwarding to this Carly account here. Let me go back to, or let me go out of settings here. So back to calls. How can I do that? There we go. So again, that was under the, well, as you can see, because I forwarded to Carly just now, she pops up in the recents, right? So as you do a couple of them, they'll pop up in the recents, and you can always go into the more settings to get more fancy with it. Under custom setup, this is for choosing your PC speakers. So if you have a headset plugged in, you could come in here under device settings and tell it that I want to use my headset maybe for my audio portion, and I want to use a certain microphone for the microphone side. Also, while you're in here under devices, you get all this fancy stuff like automatically adjust my microphone sensitivity, make a test call. If you click this, it actually calls a automated system in Microsoft's cloud that will test your audio so you can talk to it, and then it'll play it back to make sure you do have good audio. Noise suppression. So this is on by default, but you can always adjust this as well. This will take care of cutting out like lawnmowers and things in the background that maybe people don't need to hear. So high fidelity music mode, if you are for some reason sharing music on a phone call, you can toggle this on. I believe it even pops up and says, hey, you're playing music. Do you want to enable high fidelity music mode? You can say yes. And it basically disables the noise suppression and sends through all of the audio. So not just human speech, but all levels of audio. Let's see, secondary ringer. So if you have a headset configured as your primary speaker, maybe the headset's sitting on your desk charging or something, you might not hear it ring, right? So then you can come in here and say, let's make my secondary ringer be my PC speakers. That way, if a call comes in, my speakers ring, I can pick up the headset, put it on, and be able to use my audio through the headset then. I can configure camera options for video. I can adjust brightness, obviously turn on soft focus, green screen effects, all those sorts of things. Obviously, video doesn't apply to phone calls to the outside world, but if you called someone else on Teams, video would work. Also within Teams meetings like what we're doing right now, this also controls those video settings. So again, that was all under this little gear for audio devices. Now, let's see. They always move things around. So I want to make sure that's not clickable. That is clickable. So is that. Okay. There we go. I swear that was somewhere else like a month ago. On the top of your Teams client is this three dot icon. You can click this guy, go to settings. And if you go to calls here, this is, again, the same place we saw the call forwarding, but there's a bunch of other stuff that I should tell you about. So obviously, you've got call forwarding settings. You can use those if needed. When you receive a phone call, the default is not to ring anyone else. I don't need to necessarily ring anybody else, but maybe I also want to ring my colleague because maybe we're expecting a call back from somebody, or we both work in the same department. And if someone calls my direct number, I also want to ring somebody else. This is kind of that simultaneous ring type feature. When you can't answer a call, the default option is to go to voicemail. I could also just say do nothing, just play a busy signal, or just let it ring forever. I could also redirect a call to a different number. So I could say, ring my phone, and then maybe also ring a cell phone number or something, external number. And then it pops up and says, hey, how many seconds do you want to pass before going to this secondary number? And I could say, hey, just do 10 seconds. And now I've configured kind of a call forward, no answer type setting. So questions on these so far? Okay. Ringtones, I can change the ringtones for calls directly to me, calls that are forwarded to me. I can make those sound different. So I would know just by the sound of it if it's a call being transferred to me or one that is being, someone calling me directly. Managing voicemail, so I can record a greeting for my voicemail. As soon as I click it, it actually calls me. Let's see, where's that at?
To play and record your personal greeting, press 1.
So it calls me and the lady asked me to record a greeting, that sort of thing. So you can take care of that to set your voicemail up. Choose what happens when the call is redirected to voicemail. So we want the caller to leave a message. We could also say, hey, you can leave a message or be transferred to somebody. And I could say maybe my colleague will pick Carly again here. Carly. So I could tell in the message, hey, you've reached Henry. Henry's, or I'm currently busy. please record a message or press 0. I forget what the option is, but it gives them an option to transfer to this backup person essentially. You could also play a greeting and end the call. So if you don't want to take voicemails, you could just tell them I'm out of the office. I'm typically in Monday to Friday, 8 to 5. Call back later, hang up on them, that sort of thing. You could also play a greeting and then transfer to somebody else. So lots of different functions there. If you don't want to record a greeting for yourself because you just absolutely hate how you sound on recordings, then you can type in your greeting and the Microsoft lady will actually read it out for you. Option as well. What does this will say? If you've recorded a greeting, the recorded one will override the text greeting. So out of office voicemail. So this is really cool. If your Outlook auto replies are on, so you're going on that 2-week cruise, you go to Outlook, you say, here's my auto reply, you fill in that feature. As long as this box is checked, it will also route the calls to your out of office voicemail greeting. And you can type in what that greeting should be right here. And it lets you adjust that. So that's kind of a cool feature as well. Finally, emergency calling. So again, it's picking up this address. I should verify it so that way that red exclamation mark goes away, that sort of thing. But again, stuff you have to worry about if you're actually using the calls outside of the campus network. Call queues. I'm trying to remember. I know we built a call queue. We added a couple folks in there. So working with Courtney, when a call comes into the Coeur d'Alene campus, it plays a brief greeting like, thank you for calling Lewis Clark State College in Coeur d'Alene. Please wait while we connect your call. Then it goes to a call queue and the caller hears music as it's ringing. There's like 2 or 3 people that Courtney had stuck in the call queue. If we have given you the ability to opt out of the call queue, that's what these little purple icons are for up here. You can actually toggle yourself in or out of the call queue. So I think we have 3 people in there. If you wanted, we could add more folks. And if someone was sick or something and wasn't able to answer calls, someone else could hop in and kind of opt in to taking those calls and basically add themselves to the call queue. And they would be, at that point, receiving those incoming calls as well. So food for thought, I guess. I believe we have just 3 people in there. I don't think we enabled the ability to remove yourself either. So we'll have to revisit that if needed. Any questions on those things? No? Okay. Awesome. Let's do one more bit here. So I'm going to actually place a call and we'll go over a couple more things.
Actually, Jared, I do have a quick question. In the settings, how you can pick the different ringtones for certain things. So
Yep.
Is there a way to set one for when there's a call coming specifically in from the call queue versus your direct line?
Yeah, great question. The call queue, when it pops up on the bottom, it does indicate that it's coming from the call queue. So unfortunately, we can't change the ringer, but visually,
there's a visual. Okay.
Yep, you'll see it. Yep, you will know. Great
Thank
question. You. Yep. All right, so I'm going to dial 7958261, dial my desk phone here. I'm going to click call, and it's going to ring my desk phone. Okay, I've got that answered. I'm going to mute so I don't get feedback. Okay, hopefully you can see this. All right, so I'm in a phone call. If I'm calling out to another business or something and I have to navigate their phone tree by pressing certain keys, just one thing to point out, don't try and use these keys over here to do that because it won't work. You have to actually click on this dial pad inside of the call window. And this is where you would choose 1, 2, 3, 4, that sort of thing to navigate those different phone tree options, okay? I can place a call on hold. Obviously, just click hold. The person then gets hold music, and then I can resume that anytime by clicking resume here. I can transfer. When I do this, I get 2 options. I get kind of like a blind or cold transfer where I just type in someone's name or number and it sends it. or I get this consult then transfer where I can make sure that someone's available, give them a briefing on what the call is regarding, that sort of thing. Let me go over these. So if I click transfer, they automatically go on hold. I can either type someone's name or I can enter in a phone number. If I do a phone number, it will give me the option to transfer there. You'll notice that this option here went away because it's an external call, so I can't pull it back if it goes out. Now, if I want to, let me show you the other option here. So I hit transfer. It comes up. I type in Carly. She's my other person who has Teams phone. Now I get the option to ring back if no answer. So I could actually send it to her. If she doesn't answer, instead of going to her voicemail, it'll come back to me. So I get the option there. As you can see, I also get the options under here to maybe send it directly to her voicemail. So if I know it's a solicitor, I can just drop it straight to her voicemail. Or I can click transfer and it'll just go to her Teams phone. Questions on that so far? Okay, fantastic. So let me show you the consult transfer. It's kind of a cool thing too. So I do consult transfer, type in someone's name again. So consult, I can either call Carly and say, hey, I've got this student on the phone, they have a question about something, or I can chat. So if I click chat, it pops up in another window, and I can actually say, hey, I have a call for you. Are you around? She says, yes, I am. At that point, I got the transfer button right there, and I can send the call to her. So pretty cool. Or again, if she's like, no, I'm not, or I'm in a meeting, I can't talk right now, I get the option right there to just drop it straight to her voicemail. So I can, a lot of flexibility on how you handle that. That's the consult transfer piece. Let's see, under more, I can record phone calls if needed. So that should be available in there. Quick access to your audio settings. So if you answer a phone call and realize that it needs to go to a different speaker or something, you can hit that right here from the audio settings. Park the call. So this is something we did turn on. Let me talk through this. So call park, if I click call park, it should tell me, just thinking about it. Okay, call is parked on code 10. So if someone calls in, I can park the call. Now I can go walk around and find whoever needs to receive this call. And I can say, hey, there's a call parked for you on number 10. They would go back to their Teams client and they go to parked calls, type in 10, click pick up, and now they've brought the call to them. So now they've got it back again. So the nice thing is if I put a call on hold and then I go run and find somebody, I have to go back to my desk, unhold, and then transfer it to them, right? So it's a whole process. If I just park it and then go find somebody, at that point, they can go pick it up whenever they're ready. So it's kind of a nice way to hand off calls without having to run back and forth a bunch of times. So kind of a slick thing. Questions on call park?
Is there a certain time if they're in calls park that if no one saves them, it bounces back to you so they're not just stuck there indefinitely?
There is a time. It's configurable on the admin side. I think we have it set to like 2 or 3 minutes. I'd have to double check that. Okay. But yes, after a period of time, it will come back to you.
Okay.
Yep. That takes care of all those options. Call help. That's a new one. I can see technical data on the call. Interesting. All right. The other thing is you'll notice there's no conference option. So what Microsoft has decided is that every conference call needs to actually be a Teams meeting. So if I click on people here, I can see that in this call, I've got myself and I have my external number. If I want to conference somebody in, I can actually type in another number and I click it and now it's going to ring out and I should get it on my phone here. Oh, there it comes. Now I answer it.
This call will join you to a conference.
So I don't know if you heard that. As soon as I answer it,
this call will join you to a conference. Please say okay or press 1 to join it.
So then the caller can hit 1, and now.
You are now joining the meeting.
So now they're part of that same conference call. So it kind of warns them that they're being brought into a conference. So now I've got 3 parties in here. I can invite more people if I want to. So that's how the conference call piece works. You'll notice because we're now in a Teams meeting, I get extra options like chat and camera and different things I didn't have with a traditional phone call because I've escalated the phone call to an actual meeting. So, and if I want to kick someone out, there should be the ability to remove them. So I can just boot them out. And sure enough, on the phone, it hangs up on them. And off we go. So any questions on the conferencing Teams meeting piece there? Seem pretty straightforward. Okay, awesome. That's basically all I've got. Yep, usually takes about half an hour. We're at 2:26 here, so just at the bottom of the hour. Any other questions I can answer for you guys? Do you feel comfortable enough to tackle this come next week? Okay, yes, go ahead.
So with respect to the transitioning here that's scheduled to occur next week, yep. Will all of the Coeur d'Alene Center, including the DeArmond staff members and the Harbor Center folks, will they all be loaded into the directory, so to speak, with their numbers? And just a little bit about the transition on that, and then kind of an ancillary question. I know that we're recording this current training session as it is here today, which has been helpful to kind of just have a cursory overview of the system. And will we be able to, I'm thinking that it might be good to push this out and to some of our staff members and faculty. Or Gordon, from your perspective, what would you see as the kind of a best approach to that in terms of folks, potentially we don't have too many faculty here, but I think they need some fair warning that come next week, we're going to have a new approach to calling.
Yeah, I think that that makes a lot of sense. I know Courtney's going to ask for this meeting so that she can review it when she gets back. So that, yeah, I think if we don't have any other resources created at the time, once we do move you guys over, we can host that on YouTube and share the link for your staff. Just so, yeah, absolutely want them to have a resource they can reference.
Yeah, to answer your question about the users, yes, once the licenses and numbers are assigned to all the folks at both buildings down there in Coeur d'Alene, they will appear in the directory here. So you'll be able to type in somebody's name, and once you do that, they'll pop up in here. You click on that person, and then in here you can call them or see what phone number is assigned to them, that sort of thing. So yes, the Teams will be your directory, so to speak, right? That's where you're going to go to look up that information on, how to either call them or find out what the number is, that sort of thing, all from the Teams client itself. So.
Jared, will the rest of LC staff and faculty, until they get transitioned over in this fall, will they be considered external since they're not on the internal phone system?
So great question. If you call their number, it is an external call. It's going to go out to the phone company and get routed down to Lewiston. If you search for them in Teams, because as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys have Teams today on all the pieces. Is that correct? Okay. If you type someone's name in here and you call them on Teams, it will call from Teams to Teams and not have to go out to the phone company. So you can still call and talk to each other without the number, and it will still use Teams, and that won't actually be an external call. But if you were dialing their number using the keypad, that would be an external call. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I think once everyone is on there, and obviously before we don't have any other option, but we will try to focus on making those Teams calls internally as opposed to doing the number when we can.
Awesome. If there's no more questions, we can call it a wrap and go from there. I will make sure Courtney gets the video recording of this, so you guys can do with it whatever, whatever makes the most sense as far as from a training perspective and stuff. So awesome.
So Jared,
Yeah.
may I ask you real quick? So with respect to just your review and everything here, I was looking at the headset kind of question, and if I was following you correctly, you go into the settings to switch the audio to the headset. So
Correct.
So with respect to that, I'm just thinking about individuals that are wanting to have for example, private call vis-a-vis a public or just a conference call. So is there a quick way to do that, or do you have to go into settings? Is there an icon, or is it you always have to go into the manage devices to do that?
So from the calls keypad, you have different options down here. So I can say use my PC mic and speakers, which to your point is sort of that conference call type thing, right? More of a public conversation. Or I could choose custom setup. The custom setup option is pulled from the audio settings, and it would use your headset, whatever you chose in here, to do that. So it should give you the ability to sort of toggle between the two, if that makes sense. If you're in a call already, you go to the audio settings, and it's a similar thing where you still have to pick your different mic and speakers. I don't know if it gives you this exact same look and feel, but here, let me call this real quick here. Let's take a look at it. Okay. Oh, I need to mute these. There we go. So if I go to more audio settings, it pops up on a little sidebar. Okay, so I get radio buttons, so I can toggle between which speaker or which microphone I want to use. Switching, it's, as soon as I click it, it switches. So pretty quick.
You can also use the little drop down next to your mic button to select your audio devices.
There you go. Thank you. Hiding in there as well. Yep. The more audio settings will bring you to that. Oh, there you go. Brings you to a few more options, sort of that more advanced look and feel there. So if you do install Teams on your phone, mobile device, you can also receive calls on there too. So on your mobile device, I should have found a way to share my mobile screen. Apologies for that. In the Teams client, there is options under notifications to only notify my phone if I am not active on my PC. So if the PC knows that I'm moving the mouse and I'm doing stuff, then it goes, hey, we're smart enough to know that we're going to ring the PC instead and not the mobile device. If I walk away from the PC, shut it down, lock the screen, that sort of thing, then it knows I'm no longer active, and then it will actually notify me on my Teams client on my mobile device. And that option is, and I wish, it's probably hard to see. Yeah, it's not going to work. So let me turn the blur off, and then it might work. It's important enough to share. Okay, so in the Teams client, if you go to your little icon up on the top, under, is it mirrored for you too? Is it backwards?
It doesn't look backwards to me.
Okay, perfect. So if you hit your name up there and you go to notifications, it's one of the options. Under notifications, there's a section right here where it says notify when, or block notifications when active on other devices. So if that's toggled on, which it is by default, then your mobile device will not notify you of an incoming call. If you want it to, you can go in there and toggle that off, and certainly be notified on all your devices that the call's coming in. So keep in mind that that's available as well.
So Jared, another question I have is, so we come in on Tuesday, which is our implementation date. And just so we know kind of a little bit about how this will look on our end, let's say we don't have Teams open, and we're just in Outlook or other. So can you talk to us a little bit about, I know there's like a notification that appears, but just from the notification perspective of incoming calls and how that looks like, can you talk just a little bit about that, please?
Yeah. So the Teams client would have to be running for the notifications to work. In most cases, it boots up automatically with your PC. So if you've actually gone and closed it, then you wouldn't be notified. As long as it's running, you can even close the app, but it's still running in the background. You would be notified. So let me call the number here, and you can see what that looks like. Should ring in. And hopefully it says I'm green. 208-609-4992. I'm wondering if my PC is, yeah, I missed it. So my PC, because I'm in a meeting sharing things, it is blocking the incoming notification. That's tough to demonstrate. I guess I can try to explain it. So the PC will play a sound, a ringing sound. You will get a pop-up on the screen showing you a call's coming in. It'll tell you who's calling you. If it's coming from the call queue, it will show it's coming from the call queue. And then you can either answer or decline in that little pop-up. It should have buttons for that. So again, I apologize, I can't demonstrate it. Computers try to be smarter than you sometimes, and it's nice, but then at times it's not. So
Jared, do you know if it's the same interface we see when we make internal, like just Teams calls?
yeah, it'd be very
okay.
similar to that.
Yeah, if you'd like to see that after the meeting, Rocky, I'd be happy to demonstrate it for you.
Thank you.
I think I've done the internal calls, but just was curious on this kind of this new setup. So
great question. Anything else?
So, and Jared, this may not be as pertinent to you, but Gordon, with respect to Tuesday, so our current phone system, under Cisco will be terminated, and we'll move to this. So, I'm just thinking on Monday afternoon, is there a way to kind of test this or beta test this so that I just don't want to miss a phone call on Tuesday that's coming in. I'm not even going to be here, but certainly we don't want students calling and not being able to reach somebody and all of that. So is this just a kind of off we go Tuesday morning, or can we have an opportunity to kind of do some test calls Monday afternoon?
So
Wednesday.
the phone
or
number,
Wednesday, I'm saying, yeah, sorry.
the phone numbers actually go live on the team site at 7 a.m. on the 26th, so on Wednesday. We can, calling them, we could call from another Teams user to a number and sort of validate that the call flow works. But our intention is, once these numbers are live Wednesday morning, we would definitely call the main number, make sure it goes to the call queue, make sure it goes to voicemail if not answered, that sort of stuff. I believe I did not mention, if the call queue, if a call waits in there for more than 30 seconds or whatever the timer is, it will go to a group voicemail that shows up in Teams for, I think we added 3 people in there, and Courtney had the names for that. But
yeah, we're still waiting on a couple of the numbers, but yeah, I think 3 was what we decided.
Yep. So the voicemail will show up. There'll be 3 people who can see it, respond to it, delete it, that sort of thing. So It's not just going to be stuck on one person's PC, and if they're gone, no one can get it, that sort of thing. So we should be in pretty good shape.
And Rocky, we've been working with Jared the last couple weeks to get into the team system and kind of configure all the settings and everything beforehand. So we should be pretty well set for next week. A lot of the policies and the call queues and all that stuff's been configured. So it'll really just be getting them assigned to the correct user and then go live and do some testing.
Yep.
Great. Sorry, Jared, one more question here on my end. I don't think we talked about this in too much depth, but with respect to this, the individual who calls in, leaves a voicemail, and I know that let's say you're working off campus, or it's over the weekend, and we have a lot of faculty, for example, that work from home. So I know that there's a transcription application with respect to the voicemail that goes to our email. Can we talk a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, if someone leaves you a voicemail, you're absolutely right. It will show up within Outlook. So if you get your email on your mobile device, you would see it there as well. It has a attachment, like a MP3 file, where you can listen to the message. And then in the body of the email, it will include the transcription of the voicemail as well. Obviously, it's transcribed by machine, so it's 90% accurate, that sort of thing. But usually I find with the transcription, I'm able to get a pretty good understanding of what they're calling about. If I need to listen to the recording to make sure I got a phone number correct or something like that, that's available there as an attachment. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
You guys feeling okay about all this? I know I'm excited to get a hold of it.
I think we've been talking about it now for 2 years, so it's nice to finally see it come about. Yeah. And yeah, it's great.
Excellent.
I'm very excited. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
You bet.